Hello, and welcome to another rendition of But Have You Heard About, where I and a guest talk about a super duper exciting historical based topic. My guest gets to pick between 3 different topics of my choosing. One is for them, one is based on a mutual interest of ours, and one is for me because I like to hear the sound of my own voice. Today, my guest is my friend Trisha again.
Hello.
So last time we talked about drugs, what's it got to do with it? And while I really want to talk about Bleeding Kansas, I think we have found that we actually have something more exciting in common. And this week's episode is going to be called Fire in the Hole, where we're going to talk about how Silver Dollar City ruined my childhood by putting up some fake historical factual things and just making stuff up just like my history books did. It is the American way, and Branson, Missouri is the most Midwest... I don't even know what to call it.
It's white trash Disneyland.
It is. You know what? She said it, not me. I went there all the time as a child.
I was white trash when I went there.
Did you go there a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we both went there.
We can't go to Disneyland.
I went to Disney World once in my life.
Rich.
You know, once. I was also an only child, so we only had to pay for one, too.
No, that was my parents' mistake.
Yeah, they had too many kids.
Yep.
So if you have ever been to Silver Dollar City, it is literally like the 1800s. It is very much so a place caught in time with, I don't know.
Capitalism run rampant.
Yeah, I mean, it's expensive.
And sugary treats.
Oh, their sugary treats are real good.
I will say.
I will agree with you there. If you've ever been on the road Fire in the Hole, you, especially if like you were a kid, you probably didn't notice like the story that was going on around you. You were just excited for like, when's the drop? When's the drop? When's the drop?
Nope.
And that's all you wanted.
See anything that I didn't want to see there.
Like you can watch videos on YouTube of going through the ride, which we did before we recorded this, just to kind of remind ourselves, what exactly did we see?
While you're waiting before you get on the ride in the waiting room, there's masks with the horns, recreations, not historical. There are the signs that I showed you that say, you know, meeting tonight at Bald Hill, don't tell nobody. Exactly.
So we want to kind of focus on the bald knobbers who were portrayed in this ride as being like some crazy people coming in here.
I mean, I hate to say demonized because that is the mask that they chose to wear. It's what happened to them.
Well, so my favorite thing is that someone told me, they're like, oh, Silver Dollar City is super duper racist, blah, blah. They have this ride that's horrible. And I was like,
really?
Someone said this. Now, again, this is people, this is how this started. People on the internet are wild. And I was like, what ride are you talking about? And they were like, Fire in the Hole. And I was like, I remember that ride. Wow. And they were like, those masks, they were blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't trust you and your opinion. And I want to educate myself.
I love it.
And I want to educate the listeners out there in case you decide to think that bald knobbers.
It's so obscure too, and I love it.
It is very obscure. Branson, Missouri is like the southeast. Is it southeast?
Yes.
Yeah, southeast.
The Ozarks.
Southern. It's the Ozarks of Missouri. If you've never been there, maybe you're blessed. But maybe, you know.
If you've never been there, you probably live like
not
outside of those 4
that wasn't your
states.
Your family vacation. That was not the summer vacation. Yeah, you probably did. You got to go to a beach. So we want to talk about the bald knobbers. And if you go through the ride, it makes it look like the bald knobbers started this whole fire. They burned down this town. And the town that is supposed to be depicting is Branson, before it was Branson. And you just see like this fires everywhere. You see the people getting hung. And then they like put a fire to train tracks. And then you go fire in the hole and you like dive down and you get wet. But the actual story of the bald knobbers is actually really interesting. So we're not going to get into a huge, exciting topic talking about the difference between Kansas and Missouri. My friend Trisha is from Kansas.
Yes.
Disclaimer. Would you like to give your disclaimer?
Yes, I have an attitude about Missouri. It's not personal. I was raised to think that 4 miles from the Missouri line in Kansas that we were superior to them, going back to the Civil War. So
I'm not going to deny that. Like my family's from Missouri. We're from Joplin. So it's okay.
Yeah.
I was born in Oklahoma though.
Yeah, we weren't friends.
No, but I was born in Oklahoma. Like I'm an Okie from Muskogee, but not Muskogee.
I'll take that.
Thank you. So you have like post-Civil War, you have the Homestead Act, where basically they're like, okay, we need people to move out west.
Yeah, let's go. Get over here.
Get out. Go send. We'll give you land.
Yeah,
for free. Just
get out here.
Go.
And
get out of the cities, man. Mm-hmm. We got to rebuild these cities, and the less people that are here, the better off it's going to be to build.
Yep.
And so rich northern carpetbaggers could come in and buy it in the South. But anyways, that's another story. Carpetbagger is my favorite term. My husband hates that term.
I do love it. I'm going to call everybody that.
My husband's from New York, and I call him a carpetbagger. He gets really mad about it. It's a good term, though, especially when you realize what it means, and you're like, it's gross and nasty, but it's carpetbagger. Mm-hmm. So in Branson, okay, so you have this ride, you have this Christian-based organization that owns the entire theme park, and so while this whole ride is dedicated to
villainizing the bald knobbers. At the same time, Branson, you have something called the Bald Knobbers Jamboree.
Yes, you do.
And these are beloved figures that go around doing a cappella fun times all over. People pay money to see them in their little auditorium. And so they're, you know, I don't think people are understanding. They're talking about the same
bald knobbers.
Part of history.
Right. So the bald knobbers that go around singing spell their name a smidgen little different. They don't have a space between bald and knobbers.
And nobody's trying to hang them for crimes.
Yeah, exactly. So right after the Civil War, again, people are moving out toward the West to the Midwest, not super to the middle of nowhere, trying to get land. And you have former Union soldiers moving out, and they notice that it's a lawless land because of what happened during the Civil War.
Yeah, it's a mess down there. And, you know, there's no people there, so there's no law enforcement, there's no tax money, and they have their pre-set ideas of what's right and wrong, and a war that ended not too long ago.
Yeah, so up until from 1865 until 1885, there were approximately 40 murders and not a single suspect was convicted. Basically, if you were being convicted of murder, you had somebody on the jury who knew you.
You were standing in front of the jury with the knife, killing them in front of a lot of people. Basically,
because nobody cared. So you have Nat Kinney, who used to be a Union soldier, shows up and he's like, this is deplorable. This is lawless. This is horrible. We have to take justice into our own hands. And
after 40 people get killed in your town or your homestead, and you're like, okay, we need to do something.
Well, he waited a couple of years because he showed up in 83, and basically you wait around 2 years and you're like, why are all my neighbors getting murdered and no one cares? And I feel like he was probably on a jury that basically was just like, dismissed, we're fine. I don't see anything wrong. The judge was like,
they were blind for a little bit.
So Nate Kinney, or Nathaniel Kinney, depending on how you want to talk about it. He's over here in Taney County, which again, Branson, Missouri area.
Branson was not there yet.
Yeah, Branson wasn't there yet. He decided that he was going to enlist people that had kind of the same viewpoints of him as look, we're living in a lawless town. We need to take this back into our own hands. We need to just laser focus, and we need to round up the bad people and take care of it, basically. So they decided to create these horrible looking hoods.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
They originally had handkerchiefs that they would use, and then it changed into this mask where they would make horns.
Black bag.
Yeah, they had a black bag over their head. They would cut out for their eyes, circles for their eyes and their mouth. And then they created these horns on top of their head.
Yeah, stuffed them with pork.
Yep.
Wanted to look like devil, wanted to scare people.
Yep.
That's pretty scary in the middle of the night.
But the thing is, when I look at this, I'm like, well, this would scare anyone, but they're not trying to scare.
They're trying to not get caught.
They're trying not to get caught, but they're not doing it in the sense of what people in a KKK are doing, where they're trying to get rid of black people. They're trying to literally just bring law.
Yeah, because the law has failed them.
Yes.
Government has failed them.
But their way that they did it was so awkward. Looking back at it now, I'm like, this is
They needed
weird.
a PR guy.
You needed a PR person to come in here and be like, we're just going to give you a mask.
Yeah.
We're going to make you look like Batman.
That would be better.
I'm bald knobber. That's what I'm envisioning.
I will watch that.
It would be good. Well, Trisha, you did a little bit better, more research about them, because they started off going around, they were cleaning it up, they were getting the law.
Yeah. So they met on the very beginning. That Nat started this. He's an ex-Union soldier, and he's called this meeting on this bald knob. A bald knob in the middle of nowhere is literally a hill with no trees on it.
No trees.
It's like a bald doorknob. That's what this came from. It does. And this is where they met. They had 100 men that showed up, because that is how many people in this area that were like, I want to do something before it's my family that's got one of these 40 murders that nobody is being held accountable for, and the government isn't going to do anything. So let's do something. Let's take the power of community and let's meet. And they all signed it. All 100 of them were like, I want to be part of this movement. And the name stuck because of the geographical location where they had their meetings.
Yep.
And they said, you know what? Let's shake this down. We're going to find out who's doing this. They're going to be so scared of us that they're going to stop this crap. Right. And so it started out very righteous, and they targeted. There were two sets of them. One part in the north of this area, and they saw the beginning of the railroad, new business, the Homestead Act, people coming in. Well, the people coming in didn't share their morals and their values, their family values, and they opened,
brothels, saloons.
Yes, let's spend all of our money on prostitutes and gambling and booze.
Again, why we needed women to come in with prohibition.
They don't want these people in their community that's nice and wholesome. So there's reports of the bald knobbers at some points going into these bars and taking whips and whipping this men and telling them to go home and stop being a low life.
Yeah. So they're basically taking that Christian moral value of, look, you can't go waste your paycheck at the bar and not support your family. Yeah. You have 7 kids at home because this is Missouri.
17.
Maybe 17. Or you've had 17 kids and your wife is over here not knowing what to do, but she can't leave you because, again, 1800s in Missouri, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
There's nothing else better to do, so he goes and gets drunk at the bar.
They're cleaning up society. They think that they're doing everyone a favor. And they did, for some time. They did.
Yeah. We're talking 10-ish years they did, maybe 5?
Towards the end, they made bad decisions. They
as all men do.
Took a little too far. Went into someone's house and tore the place up, shot some people, stabbed some people. One of them got taken down with it, and that's when the public turned on them and said, you know what, you're no longer doing God's work. You're just killing people and being jerks. So that's when you see the shift in the public view of the bald knobbers. It's really a tellable as old as time.
Yeah, so you have the bald knobbers who they come in and they then get duly elected. So they take over the positions that they were upset that nobody was really doing their job with.
Said, if you're not going to be a sheriff, then don't let me have the job. But then they power corrupt.
Yeah, so they literally turned into what they hated, and then other groups rose up against them, as one would expect, because you've already shown that by using brute force in that area.
Also, they were bought and paid for. They had family members that were doing some of these crimes and looting and stealing, and they really did turn into their own enemy.
Yeah. I mean, they literally had a state judge come in and try to do an audit over the corruption once those bald knobbers were elected. This wasn't just a very localized story. It was actually a national story, and it was published in national newspapers about how there's a bloody war in Missouri and the bald knobbers. They're described as some fierce vigilante movement.
Well, it did start at some point. Some of their cohorts were taken to jail and locked up, and the bald knobbers broke into the jail, took these guys that they didn't like, hung them from a tree and put a sign on them saying, "Beware, this is the beginning," and signed to bald knobbers. That's probably a bad idea. Hang people, don't put your name on there.
Don't associate it with your weird looking mass situations. God, that's always fun. Yeah. So the fact that this has nothing to do with race, but somebody told me that Silver Dollar City was racist because of this, inspired this discussion and this research.
And everybody is full of crap on this topic.
Exactly, because Silver Dollar City got it wrong. They never burned down a city. It's basically... They literally took a group...
There was no city to burn. I'm not saying they would have.
Yeah.
I'm not saying.
If we're trying to say that, because it looks like they're going down in the ride. It looks like they go down a main street. There's a saloon. There's a tavern type thing, or a tavern and there's a hotel, and they're burning it in a campsite, and they're burning it. So if anything, maybe it's the northern group, and they're burning down. They're showing xenophobic tendencies, that they don't like the people who came from the outside. But it's such a far-fetched stretch because neither the North or the original group actually ever burned anything down. It might have just been a fantasy of theirs.
The problem, too, having different chapters, they actually went to Nat Kitty and they were like, we want to start this in our own community. You guys, in the beginning it was working. Yeah. So the problem is when you do that is you don't have any control over these people that are using your name. So if they go out and they do stupid shit, they're going to be like, well, this is you and your people. And you're like, no, I don't know this guy. And that's when it started to fall apart, is your chapters are totally opposite ends of
and if you, we didn't have social media back then to be like, hey guys, let's get on a Google Hangout. Okay. And then we can talk about everything, talk about our chapter laws.
It only takes one radical dude to flip a cult.
You're right. You're right. Any last words about the bald knobbers?
Missouri's a weird place for weird people.
It is.
And if you've ever been to Silver Dollar City or Branson or the Ozarks, don't be ashamed. I have a lot of great memories.
Me too.
Branson. But there is a big old wide world outside of there, and people that don't get out of there don't understand.
Yeah, and also don't take everything that you see at a theme park for face value.
Exactly. Back off, man.
Or think that it's something that it's not. Like, don't interpret things without doing research.
Exactly, because Courtney's going to call you out.
I will. I kind of want to go back and find the person who said this.
I know you do.
It was like a month and a half ago.
Slap them with some knowledge.
Be like, hey, did you know that you were wrong about the bald knobbers?
You're wrong.
They're white people murdering white people that were murdering people.
But they did mean well.
They meant well at the beginning.
There were some means to an end here.
Exactly.
And there's great books out there. I really think this needs to become a movie. I could sell these rights to Hollywood all day long. It's a great story.
Maybe I'm just gonna casually have to like just shoot this like link over to people, be like, hey, learn about the bald knobbers.
We're gonna write a script. We're gonna be like, Matt Damon.
Oh,
Affleck.
wait, are you Matt or are you Ben?
I can't be Ben because I'm in love with him. That would be weird.
Okay, so I'm Ben.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
Rock beard.
I can.
And
yeah.
You do have the Batman voice.
I do have
you just proved.
I'm a bald knobber.
See, it all comes from full circle.
Full circle. And with that, thank you again for joining me on another episode of But Have You Heard About? And I'm sure Trisha will come back again because somebody sometime is going to talk about the Know Nothing Party. That's probably going to be her.
Eventually, I'm going to learn. I'm
going to twist her arm. It's going to be great. And again, have a fabulous rest of your day and whatever you may do. Cheerio.